What's going on, everybody? This is Andy Christopher, aka the DILF, the dad I listen to frequently, and welcome to the next rendition of the DILF Show. Today, what I'm going to talk to you about are 5 tips on how to prepare to be a dad. And this is coming from my own playbook, my own bad beats. And, I still mess up 50 things every single day, but at least it'll prepare you, going into the delivery room and, before doomsday and you don't know what the fuck just happened and your kid is born. And you'll go in there with a better mindset because you'll at least have done everything you can do before you wipe the slate clean every single day, every week, and you really don't know what the hell's going on. But hopefully some of these tips can really help you, like I said, be a better parent, be a better dad, and really help fine tune your relationship with your significant other, whatever your takeaway might be here. Got a couple of bonus tips as well, but yeah, just a, quick reminder, like, share, do what you got to do. Remember, don't be afraid to send us emails about your questions, your topics. Everything is basically at the DILF Show, the DILF Show, or the DILFshow@gmail.com. And I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear everything that you're thinking about. If there's a stress button that gets pushed, if there's a hot button topic or anything that's covered here, something you agree with, something you disagree with, please feel free to share it with me. So as you can see, I've kind of slightly upgraded here. Instead of being having my microphone on a diaper genie and being in a rocking chair, Julia, my wife, she made me a home office for Christmas. It's been something that I've wanted for some time, and I love her so much for putting it together. It's such a wonderful surprise. But still tinkering a little bit with the sound. So I'm going to make sure that things aren't too echoey in here, but let's just dive right into it and get you some good info. So how do you prepare to be a dad? I mean, you really, there's not a ton that can be done. Once the child is actually here, you're just kind of, free. You're just really, it's a free for all. It's like riding I've never ridden a Bronco, but I assume that's kind of what it's like, where first few times you do it, you just get thrown off. You don't know what the hell's going on. And then no matter what you do, even as you get better, you're still getting thrown off. And, the first thing that I want to talk about, which is point number 1, is just simply opening a dialogue and listening to the needs of your significant other. And it sounds simple, and hopefully you're doing this as it is, because, anything that you keep inside is just going to keep eating and eating and eating at you. But I believe that the famous last words here are, I don't think our lives are really going to change that much when we have kids. And I'm here to tell you that it's either a lie, or anyone who claims that that's the truth, they've got a shit ton of help in their corner. And yes, your lives will change forever. It's just going to happen. But, the thing about really opening up the dialogue and really understanding that you're now building a new life from this point forward is strictly just to hear the other perspective, to be heard. But the mom is going to be handling things that you just simply can't understand. You don't know how to help. You get confused and you get anxious and you get scared, and you want to be there for your spouse. There were times I wanted to be there for Julia. I was really trying my best, but I ended up just causing more problems or causing more anxiety. Just my physical presence was, maybe that's just me, but I know that a lot of people have gone through this, and you can't just lean on this, like, hey, there's shit that I don't know what's going on. That's not a free pass just to not be present and to not be helpful. There's so much you can do just by listening to what those needs are. Like, one of the biggest things that was a huge, huge trial for our relationship, and for when Arlo was born. Arlo's my son, if you're just tuning in. Was breastfeeding and pumping. So Julia had a really, really difficult time, and we can probably look to bring her on the show and have her give her perspective on that whole process and what she went through mentally, physically, and all that good stuff. But I can tell you, it was heartbreaking to watch. There were there was nothing that any of us could do. I mean, I'm in there trying to hand express. I'm trying to help her get milk out, and, you know, Arlo's just not latching. And this is just one of those things where, you know, we did our best to talk about it retroactively and reactively. But if we would have maybe prepared ourselves a little bit better, you know, read some literature, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, you know, some things to read later on, but read some literature, maybe went to a class or two that might have helped some things, but we just didn't know that this was something that needed to be spoken about. So getting in there and just saying, you know, what if we have trouble breastfeeding? How do you want to handle that? What's kind of our cutoff point for when we do and don't want to continue trying to breastfeed? I mean, it took Julia 7-8 months to really figure this whole process out, and she's in tears. I'm trying to console, but, you know, behind closed doors, I'm tearing up too, because I know how much this is just eating at her, and we just can't figure this thing out. And I think if you have expectations about what that could look like, it's going to soften the blow if you actually run into these obstacles, and at least you've already started talking about it. Another thing you may not understand, postpartum depression. I mean, just knock my little filter out of the way. You know, going through actual and physical depression is, you know, it's a journey for each individual person. And you're lying to yourself if you just refuse to admit kind of what's going on and what's in front of you right after the baby's born, and, you know, many months after potentially. You know, myself, obviously my hormones didn't change. I was still just doing my thing, but Julia was going through this whole roller coaster, and it hits families harder, and it hits, you know, women harder than it hits other women. And just starting that discussion in terms of the warning signs and what can I do if, and really trying to put yourself out there and make sure that your spouse knows that you're there for them no matter what they're feeling. These can be really super dark feelings. I mean, even myself, without having those the hormonal changes, I've had times when, you know, it's difficult just to hold Arlo, or, you know, there are times when I just wanted to yell and scream at the top of my lungs. And I can only imagine, especially going through, you know, nursing troubles and things like that, that Julia's feelings were just amplified 10 times. So, you know, there are resources that you can go out there to get help in terms of the depression. I feel like I'm not on it right now. This kind of sucks. I feel like I'm just kind of stumbling over my words a little bit, but being able to, you know, see the warning signs and just acknowledge when something's off, you know, knowing that we're all going to be different. Our whole family's going to be different, but, you know, just making sure that she knows that she could talk to me, I think was a huge, huge avenue and a huge outlet. And, you know, something that I prepared myself for in terms of just looking up articles about, you know, what to see in your partner in relationship to postpartum depression, and really trying to not overanalyze and overthink everything and just kind of take things in stride. But, you know, that kind of leads into the next thing. Once, you know, your spouse is going back to work, there are social pressures to handle it all and to get back into the swing of things and kind of quote unquote be super mom. And I think if you just listen to you know, some of the questions that you can ask proactively and before the baby's here, how can I make you more comfortable? You know, how can we feel more prepared for what's coming? You know, do we want to take classes? Do we want to read more stuff? Do we want to go on a baby vacation? What can we do to just kind of prepare our family for this? What can I do to make you feel sexy? Don't be afraid to, you know, talk about your sexuality and talk about your intimacy, and, you know, the little things that can help make her feel just, you know, as beautiful as she is. I think that sometimes we just feel like we need to read between the lines and always be kind of the engine that, brings the heat and brings the flame. And, that can get exhausting. You feel like maybe I've run out of ideas here, especially when maybe you try a couple things 6-7 months into pregnancy, they don't necessarily land. Well, talk about it. Don't be afraid to say, what can we do here? Is it just an unavoidable thing where, I'm going to have to come up with some magic, or are there some things that you could tell me that, really make you feel, empowered and really make you feel confident and make you feel as beautiful as you look? So, what are you worried about? What's on your mind? Just talk to me. Tell me what's going on. I do wish that I would have done a little bit more of this going into our pregnancy. I think that you get a little bit wrapped up in maybe the things you have to wind down, or you get wrapped up in work. The new setup, and I can't knock this. I can't get away from knocking this thing out of the way. I'm gonna sit on my hands up here. So, there are other things going on, and you really, really just got to find a way to keep the discussion moving forward. Make sure that everyone is on the same page as best as possible. And if you have family who's going to be helping, if you have friends who are interested in being present in that first month, whatever it might be, just make sure that you get them in alignment as well. All right. So it all starts with your significant other opening up communication. All right. Butchered that one, but we're moving on. Number 2, I'm horrible with money. I've always traditionally been horrible with money, but getting your finances in order. I made it a mission of mine to eliminate as much credit card debt as I possibly could before Arlo arrived. And we didn't want to have this thing lingering over our head, knowing we're about to spend, a ton more money. And, some of those habits really, really came into play and removed a lot of stress simply because we weren't worried about certain bills. I mean, we paid down a bunch of debt, and that made us feel so much more confident to just go out and buy the things that we needed as we needed them. And I know that, not everyone has this luxury. Not everyone has this ability to, kind of stop and just worry about your finances. There are people working 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet. And we've been in the fortunate position where we're both gainfully employed. Julia had her, I'm struggling to find the word. God, what the hell is it? Maternity leave. God, how did I just forget that right now? She had her maternity leave pay. And I was still working right up until little man showed up. But, being able to have our debt under control. And then, we had our laundry list of things. And what you have to expect is no matter how many things you buy ahead of time, they're going to run out super quick. Diapers, wipes, first to go, anything related to, bathing your child and keeping your child clean. And, hopefully you've obtained certain things like your high chair and all that good stuff. Yeah, there's going to be these bulk purchases that happen ahead of time. But right at the onset, you're spending probably about $200 to $250 a week just during the first month or two, just on whatever it might be. And, you start to panic, and maybe Instagram hits you with a retargeting ad, and, they're getting in your head about the things that you need, the things that you should have, the things that you have to have. And you're going out and buying things, and you're buying food, and you're trying to take care of everyone and making sure that, that wife feels you're, comfortable and fed and all that stuff. But if you don't have that stuff taken care of before the baby gets here, if you're just spiraling in terms of your debts and things like that, that's not going to be remedied overnight when you throw a kid into the mix. So get your finances in order ahead of time. Number 3, winding down your work mindset. So I didn't do this. I literally was closing loans up until maybe a day or two before Arlo was born. And the stress in my industry is such that it lends itself to, you kind of got to be tethered to your phone a little bit. And, when and if baby number 2 comes, this is going to be something that I prepare for months ahead of time and lean on the people in my organization to help me when I go off the grid, because everyone should be off the grid. It's an all hands on deck situation when the baby's born. And if you haven't really prepared for a slowdown and the subsequent ramping back up, you are just going to feel this pit of anxiety in your chest. And I remember a really, really, really vivid point in time when I had 2 transactions closing after Arlo was born. And it was probably, it was maybe 3 months after he was born. And they were closing on back-to-back days. And I had literally never felt anxiety up until this point, because, there's so many obligations in the house, and there's so many obligations when it comes to taking care of clients and making sure that everything's lined up for their mortgage and their home to close. And I remember I was walking Jack, our dog, to just go to the bathroom, and I literally just felt like my heart was going to explode. And all this stress had just been building up and boiling underneath the surface. And I'm trying to be a rock for our family. I'm trying to be a rock for my clients. And this just, it was overwhelming to the point where I literally just had to look into the sky and take a few deep breaths and try to recenter myself and try to focus on, the happiness that we'd experienced, because all I was feeling was just fucking stress. And if you, don't plan to wind down your business, especially if you're an entrepreneur, but, equally, I would say, if you are, you do have stable employment, there needs to be plans in place about exactly how much time you're taking off, what that's going to look like post baby arriving, and making sure that everyone's on the same page. Because if you're constantly just jumping to your phone and trying to play catch up and get to the next thing, the stress is just going to build up. And, you can work on bringing your momentum back, but if you haven't planned for it, I just plan for it right now. It's going to be so difficult. And having the baby is a full-time job on top of your 1, 2, 3 full-time jobs that you already have. So please, please, please just prepare to wind down that work mindset. Number 4, take a vacation and do the things while Mama Bear can still travel, but don't go off the rails crazy loco when, the baby's about to come and it's stuff that your wife can't do with you. If you feel the need, we touched on this towards the end of the last episode, but if you feel the need that you have to get this out of your system and you need to go out there and do something with the boys and go fucking crazy and, whatever it might be. Is there something bigger that's bothering you and something that you're not communicating? Like point number 1, if you're not communicating to your significant other that they need to know about, what's going on? Why do we feel the need that we kind of got to go? The disaster episode continues. Is there something more pervasive underneath the surface that's bothering you about why you feel the need that you have to go crazy? You can set up a baby vacation at 5 to 6 months and have it be just the 2 of you and have it be utterly wonderful, right? But if you as the dad are taking it upon yourself to have to go out there and fly to Vegas or do something crazy like bungee jumping or jumping out of an airplane and whatever it is, if you feel like there's this itch, like, oh, I got to do this now, like, you're not going to die after the baby's born. Just to be clear, all of us, we're still here, right? And the simple act of the baby being born is not the end of your life as you know it, right? Everything that has been brought into our lives because of Arlo has just amplified the wins and the happiness and the joy tenfold, 100-fold. because we now have him to share it with. But, if you're worried about, what it's like right before, yeah, there's going to be a ton of nerves. There's going to be so much change that's happening so fast, and you're going to be in the delivery room before you know it. But that shouldn't be an excuse to just, piss off your responsibilities and just act like an absolute fool right before the baby comes. And, in a later episode, I'm going to talk about why I don't think anyone should have children before they're 30. I think the Europeans got this absolutely right. But obviously people are pushed into different types of circumstances in terms of when their baby comes into the world. And I get that. And I understand, but you have to recognize that, this type of responsibility, if you're going out drinking nights before and this and that, you're really setting yourself up for something ugly, something to fail, added stress on your spouse. And I really, really just recommend planning your vacation time with your significant other so you can go and enjoy it together in a safe sphere, and then move on into, the journey of fatherhood. So Julia and I had planned to do this, and she was wonderful, and we were matching each other in terms of our exercise routines, and we were doing great when it came to staying, in shape and preparing ourselves for when baby was coming. And we had planned to do a vacation, but then boom, COVID-19 hits, right? And we did feel a little bit robbed. We felt like this moment or this experience was kind of taken from us a little bit. And I don't know if I would call it resentment necessarily, but it was just like, what the hell? We see people who got to do this, and we were really pumped about just the act of scheduling a vacation, gets you amped up to actually travel. But this was something that I wish that we could have done in any regard. And we did have our little trips, and they were fun. And, they did allow us to get kind of some of that pent up energy out. But I really recommend, do it now, do it while you can, and don't look back after that. Final point number 5, do some research, Dad. Just do some research. Don't be an absolute imbecile. Don't be some, person who says that they're above it and I'll just figure it out on the fly. Totally got this, macho bravissimo mentality. It's really scary. And if you, just like you practice how you play, if you prepare yourself with certain knowledge and certain pieces of information, and then you encounter it, you're going to be able to know how to handle it just because you just opened up your phone while you're pooping and looked up an article about how to, change a diaper, about how to properly hold your baby in the first 2 weeks, in the first 3 months, whatever it is. Dude, you're already taking shit. Just go ahead and look this stuff up. Don't be above it. I know that some of the books can be really dense, and I do strongly believe that some of these books at this point are outdated, and some of the information has been proven wrong by science or has been kind of debunked along the road. And yeah, you can tease that stuff out, but being able to open a book, like what to expect when you're expecting, and just read, there's literally parts that are just for the dad, like what to expect as the dad at this point. You can go through the month-to-month progression of month 1, month 2, month 3, and you can just read all that stuff and literally just consume that, right? But even looking up proper feeding techniques at the onset of it, right? What at different points, what to feed your baby. I didn't do enough of this, even though what I thought I was reading was good. I didn't find one trusted and credible source that I aligned with personally. Everyone is going to have different visions of, who they connect with and the type of information they want to consume, the type of parent they want to be. Go out and find someone on Instagram, or believe it or not, on something like TikTok, where it's just really quick information. Find someone who resonates with the type of parent whose style you want to mimic. we always say in our industry that success leaves clues. So does parenting. If someone's doing it right, ask them questions. Ask your friends who have just had kids questions. What do I do about this? What do I do about that? People want to share this information because now you're starting to build this Rolodex of experiences, and those are the most valuable people in your lives. And the people that we spoke with are the people who we love how they have, raised their children. We love the type of kids that they have. And so, yeah, we want to figure out as best as we can. What did you do? How did you succeed? How did you get past this? Right. So going out there and just learning a little bit about timelines and, the expected milestones, when to expect a sleep regression. The first big one is 4 months. I'll tell you that. And little things like this, just to have these arrows in your quiver that you can use when needed. Oh man, that's why I can see how kid number 2 is so much easier, simply because you've been through this, before. But learn from people who have done it before. On Instagram, there's a really, really great account that Julia follows that I follow as well. It's at babysleep.answers, and she is wonderful. She provides really, really good information for moms. Just go and start to consume. Check out a Facebook forum. There's tons of support out there for, for families, for parents, and especially for new moms. Just go do a little bit of research. All right. Don't let the hotel that you buy get more time and more devotion than the baby that you're about to have. All right. Don't be an idiot. I was an idiot about it. I didn't put in nearly enough time when it came to what to study. I was an avid, I'm going to learn on the fly. I'm going to be a good dad. What I'm learning is that I didn't know shit about the first 12 months. And I'm preparing myself for when my son is 8 and, we're throwing a baseball and I'm trying to critique his throwing technique. I mean, I'm literally so woefully underprepared for this first 12 months. It was comical at times, but do a little bit of research and just, arm yourself for what's about to come. So a little bonus one. And another one that obviously wish we could have done more of. I'm here to share with you, just learning and the trials and tribulations. Bang your wife. Literally have sex as much as you can while you can, because when the baby comes, there's a recovery time, whether you have a C-section or whether you give birth naturally. There's a recovery time, which means there can be some blue ball days for sure, where you're just going to be hard up and you're just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with myself. I got to take care of the baby. Can't get 2 minutes to yourself. Can't figure out what to do in terms of just, beating off in the shower. You feel guilty. You feel bad about it. You don't know how your ability to go through that drought until you've actually gone through it. And, I know that there's another resource in a book that was given to us called Bringing Up Bébé. It's basically how the French handle child rearing and when the baby's born. And some of it is agreeable upon, but one of the things that they are staunch about is that they don't want the baby to get in the way of their sex life, which means almost everything they do once the baby's born is in service of how can we have sex again the fastest. And noble cause, absolutely. Completely realistic? I don't think so, now that we've been through the ringer. But preparing to be a dad means just get in there and have everyone get theirs while they can, while the getting's good. And it's one of those things where you just do what you got to do. And yes, your sex life comes back, absolutely. You find the spark, you find the intimacy, whatever your relationship entails. But, going into it, pregnancy sex is pretty cool, man. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a fun thing to experience. It's very, very different. Yeah. There's always the worry. Oh my God, am I hurting the baby? Like, dude, your dick's not getting close enough to hurt this kid. There's nothing happening that is like this child is so protected. Don't worry about that. do your thing as best as you can, just so that everyone stays happy, because there are going to be some dark months, some dark months indeed, Harry. When it's, if you're not a Harry Potter fan, I'm sorry, I'm not just saying Hairy. But get in there, do what you got to do, and make sure everyone stays happy. So real quick story to wind this down. I've mentioned a couple times, actually, I'll just quickly sum up the 5 points here. Open a dialogue, listen to the needs of your significant other, which you should be doing regardless, but especially when a baby's coming. Get your finances in order. Wind down your work mindset. Take a vacation, but not right at the end, and don't go ham right at the buzzer. Do some research right before, leading up to baby arriving, and bang your wife, bang your significant other. Do what you got to do. Get yours. Have her get hers. Take care of each other. I think that if, when baby number 2 is on the way, these things are going to be a priority for me. And, hopefully you can find your own. Is there something that I missed here? Let me know. Something that you think is important on how to prepare to, how to prepare for the baby to come based off of your experiences. If you have children, I would love to hear those stories. That's kind of my end spiel. I want to thank you so much for tuning in this episode. Next episode is going to be kind of a controversial one. I've kind of tentatively, and kind of an operating title is what most dads are getting wrong. And I think that this one's going to push some buttons, because I see dads out there, and now having been through it, I'm not saying I do everything right, but I think that the next one is going to be pretty eye-opening for people who have kids. And it's just something to keep an eye out for when you're going through, your own set of children, because when you start to lose touch with certain parts of your family, I think that we're really losing grip on, what our purpose is here. And so I want to air out some dirty laundry, and going to ruffle some feathers. So we'll see how that one goes. But please, reminder again, send me your stories, your jokes, any thoughts, any funny videos. I want to see all of this content. I want to build this into a show that you want to hear more about certain things. And, it could be an open forum, could be an FAQ, and ask me anything, whatever it might be. But don't hesitate to reach out to me on socials at the DILF Show on Instagram, the DILF Show or thedilfshow@gmail.com via email. I might post I don't know, kind of dangerous to post your phone number out there. But if you got my phone number, just send me your thoughts via text, via video message, whatever it might be. So this is Andy signing off, aka the DILF. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Go have a great one.